As young people, you've been studying for this test your entire life, so it shouldn't be too hard. But I see we have some visiting students today, so I want to make sure to review the criteria. To pass the climate test, a decision must provide us with a just transition to a livable future. Simple, right? So, who has a decision they want to put to the climate test? Yes? Tanner?
What about the Keystone XL pipeline? It's supposed to be delivering 800,000 barrels of bitumen from the tar sands in Alberta to Texas refineries. It is also one of the most intensive fossil fuel extraction methods in the world and is causing significant human rights violations in First Nations communities.
So class, what do you think? Do tar sands pass the climate test?
No.
So tar sands fail the climate test. Put it on the map. Who else has something to put to the climate test? Yes?
Japanese government is paying climate fund to high efficient coal power plants in developing countries, especially Asia. It might improve the standard of living, but it accelerates the climate change and air pollution too.
So class, what do you think? Does Japanese carbon financing pass or fail the climate test? Come put it on the map. Anyone else? Yes.
What about the Australian government axing the carbon tax? A measure which was actually reducing emissions and moving income towards low-income families.
Class, what do you think? Does Australia's axing of the carbon tax pass the climate test? Australia's carbon tax fails the climate test. Students, new students, do you have a project that you want to propose to take the climate test? Anyone else? Yes.
In the state of Massachusetts, Next Step Living is implementing free community solar, accessible to everybody who pays the utility bill. It helps reduce electricity rates in every household.
Does Massachusetts policy pass the climate test? Yay! Massachusetts climate policy passes the climate test. Come put it on the map. Take a look at our map full of red dots for where we have failed the climate test class, and green dots where we have passed the climate test, meaning good policies that lead to a just and sustainable future. Well, it's clear that these young people know what passes and fails the climate test, but we can't say the same for our leaders. For all our lives, we as students and young people have been tested and asked to perform at the highest of standards. We know that the world is failing the climate test because these negotiations are not providing us with a just transition to a livable future. Now it's our turn. We're putting world leaders to the ultimate test. With our future at stake, failure is not an option.
We know what's necessary to create a just future and stabilize the climate. And we also know that things like dirty tar sands oil from Alberta, repealing good climate policies, and financing clean coal through climate funds do not lead to that future. So while decision makers here may give off the illusion that they're committed to a safe climate, their actions and decisions are inconsistent with that fact. So from here on out, we're drawing a line. No more half measures. We're putting projects, policies, and politicians to the climate test, and we invite you all to join us. Our climate affects everything, so our effect on the climate must be a part of every single one of our decisions. The climate test is simple. if a project or policy puts us on the track for a just transition to a livable future, it passes. If not, it fails, and the project should be rejected or the policy improved. It's past time to let politicians define the terms of this debate, and we're introducing the climate test as a tool that we can use to hold these decision makers accountable. We invite you to join us for the rest of the negotiations by adding your climate test to the map, both here in the COP space and online at climatetest.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you, class. Have a good day.
Evan, we have interviews available. And
yeah.